So, let's say you're following SEO best practices, getting cited across the internet, and really starting to make some headway in AI search visibility for your brand. Awesome. But when you look a little closer, you start noticing AI assistants making little mistakes about your company, saying you don't have a feature when you do, citing a negative review that was actually fraudulent, or hallucinating products and services that don't even exist. Doesn't do us much good to be mentioned by AI assistants if they're giving the user bad information. In fact, more often than not, it will most certainly work against us in the user's buying journey. But there are practical steps you can take to fix that, and I'm going to show you how. My name is Matt Kenyon. I'm a marketer who's deep into SEO, organic visibility, and how AI is reshaping search as we know it. I work with brands to help them take control of what shows up in AI-generated answers and turn that visibility into real traffic leads and sales. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a full branded generative engine optimization strategy so you can fix misinformation, influence what AI tools say about your company, and make sure your brand earns trust at every step of the buyer journey. This strategy comes out of a collaboration with Ben Goody, the founder of Spicy Margarita, and someone who's been doing incredible work at the intersection of SEO and AI. Branded generative engine optimization, what we're calling Branded GEO, is all about making sure AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity give accurate, helpful, and up-to-date answers about your brand. It focuses specifically on high-intent branded prompts. These are users already deep in the buying journey, comparing vendors, checking feature visibility, evaluating pricing, and they're asking AI assistants for help. And while Branded GEO is a catchy name, it's really just a core part of any smart AI SEO strategy. Because in the same way you'd monitor and optimize branded search results on Google, you now need to do the same in AI environments. But the good news? Like branded SEO, it's much easier to influence than broad, non-branded queries. That's why it's one of the most actionable and highest leverage starting points if you're looking to build momentum in GEO. In fact, I've seen some anecdotal instances across LinkedIn and X where people make changes to their core pages and see those results reflected in large language models in a matter of hours. So let's walk through a demonstration together so you can get a feel for how you can adapt this to your own company. I'll be using ChatGPT as our AI assistant and the B2B SaaS product Airtable as our test brand. I'd highly recommend following along with your own brand in a separate window if you can. Now, Airtable has recently undergone some serious positioning and product pivots, so it illustrates the new challenges and opportunities of branded GEO. So step one is to set up our large language model. I'm going to head to ChatGPT and turn on temporary mode. This avoids any personalization skewing our results. I'll also turn on the search feature. This ensures the current version, ChatGPT, is accessing real-time information, not just information up to its latest training cutoff date, which was September 30th, 2024. This is currently the data that we can influence. Now, step two is to engage ChatGPT with a branded prompt. I recommend starting with the simple question, what is, and then enter your brand name. Here are the results for Airtable. Step three is to analyze how ChatGPT describes your product and company. Is it accurate? Is it how you would describe your company? Are you noticing glaring errors or omissions? With Airtable, we see that ChatGPT is basically describing it as a database that feels like a spreadsheet. Well, at first glance, that seems pretty accurate if you've ever used Airtable. The problem is that Airtable did a major pivot in June 2025, shifting away from their super powerful spreadsheet positioning and relaunching as a, quote, AI native app platform where the magic of vibe coding meets enterprise reliability and the scalability of AI agents. That's a pretty big pivot, and ChatGPT hasn't caught up yet. So what do? Well, we start at the root of the misinformation. This is precisely why we turned on web search and didn't just leave ChatGPT to give us answers from its training data. It's gathering that outdated information from somewhere, and we should do everything in our power to correct those sources. So, in step 4, we start to tackle the misinformation by looking for its source. You'll usually find that ChatGPT has sourced its information from an outdated article, a LinkedIn page that hasn't been updated in several years, a landing page that reflects the old you, or a hallucination due to completely missing information on that topic. Another thing I've seen with a few clients is that ChatGPT is having to dig deep through the annals of your company's documentation to find something that should be prominently displayed on your core pages. And what's worse, it's not always accurate. To address the misinformation you find, visit each source page used and look for a match between the language ChatGPT uses and the words on the page. Is a LinkedIn page showing an outdated description? Log into your company page and fix it. Is a blog reviewing an outdated version of your product that's missing core features? Email them and keep following up until they change the copy. Is ChatGPT finding an old landing page you forgot to de-index with discounted pricing on it? Well, de-index that sucker and make sure your true pricing is prominently displayed in easy-to-parse HTML on your product or services page. See, fixing these issues are often simple, unless there's a hallucination, which we'll talk about in the next step. However, if you're a larger brand, like Airtable, you may have hundreds or thousands of incorrect sources, so it won't be realistic to try to knock all this out in an afternoon. In that case, Ben recommends operationalizing this process by collating all the sources driving misinformation into a spreadsheet and noting down the following. 1, whether that source should be deleted or updated. 2, specific text that needs to be changed. 3, specific text that needs to be added. For example, if a feature is missing, you can spell it out in the sources. For our Airtable example, we can see that a highly trusted source, Wikipedia, is currently out of date. Now, if we worked for Airtable, we'd start with the Wikipedia article. Airtable, if you're watching, we'd recommend editing this page with your new positioning as soon as possible. Hey guys, it's Matt from the future here, and as I'm putting this video together, the eagle-eyed viewers among you may have noticed that in the B-roll for both ChatGPT and Wikipedia, they do actually mention Airtable's pivot to an AI native platform. It turns out that apparently between Ben's original article and the planning for this video, someone did update Airtable's Wikipedia page to include this pivot. But if anything, this only further proves the importance of accurate sourcing, because as soon as someone added that new positioning to Wikipedia, ChatGPT also reflected that change. So clearly this works. Anyway, back to the video. As a major trusted source of internet knowledge, updating Wikipedia is likely to help influence the large language models, but it may not fix the positioning issue in one fell swoop. Once we've collated all our sources, step 5 is to either publish, update, or delete sources to the best of our ability. For smaller brands with a relatively small web footprint, this should be pretty straightforward. Take your latest positioning, messaging, and features and make sure they're represented in key sources the large language models are referencing. Ideally, refresh every source that mentions your brand, from social media accounts to on-site and off-site web pages. Brands with a larger web presence will find this task a bit more challenging. If, like Airtable, you have outdated articles written about you across hundreds of websites you don't control, you may need to execute a pretty robust outreach campaign to update or take down those sources. Now, if you have no luck with that, we'd suggest running a new campaign that seeds LLMs with lots of new sources that contain your up-to-date information. Be sure to check out our article and accompanying video on LLM seeding next. So what happens when the AI assistant isn't pulling misinformation from any source, but just straight up hallucinating stuff? Well, you can't fix this by simply updating or removing a source, and it almost always happens because they didn't find an answer in any source. If LLMs are hallucinating an answer, the best approach is to influence the answer by creating a source that answers the question with the correct information. Start building a content roadmap with new topics to cover, directly answering those key questions your target buyer has. These can be hosted on your blog or help center and serve dual purposes for branded GEO and as helpful sales material. Now, step 6 is to like this video and subscribe to the Backlinko channel for more practical insights on growing your brand visibility. Well, I mean, no, seriously, that's what it says. I don't make the rules, man. Anyway, we appreciate your offering to the algorithm by liking this video, but the real step 6 is to broaden our query scope. So far, we've just asked one question about your brand, but prospective customers are likely asking many questions that you'll want to monitor. Comparison questions, review questions, and how-to questions all about your brand. Unfortunately, exact data on those questions still isn't available. Prompts are unlike traditional keywords. They're often much longer and more personalized, but that doesn't mean we can't optimize for shorter prompts and hope that that bleeds through to the long tail ones. We can make some pretty good educated guesses at the topics LLM users are asking about using 6 methods. Number 1, ask your inbound leads. Ben asks every inbound lead who finds spicy margarita via ChatGPT what their prompts were and what their journey was like. One even pulled the conversation up and read the exact prompt back to him. It said, "I want an SEO agency in the B2B space who is staying up to date with AI," and his agency came up. That kind of insight, that's pure gold. It shows you how your audience prompts, what issues they face, and what content and GEO efforts of yours are already working. A similar technique is to look in sales insights platforms like Gong for mentions of ChatGPT and to encourage your sales team to ask the questions for you. Number 2 is to start with common questions. Begin with general questions that people ask about brands and then tailor those questions to fit your specific situation. Here are some tried and true templates to consider. How does brand name work? What are the best alternatives to brand name? Is brand name legit? How long does it take to implement brand name? Does brand name integrate with insert other tools here? How secure is brand name? And of course, how much does brand name cost? I, for one, am very glad we're not hiding pricing behind a contact form anymore. Wait, you're not hiding pricing behind a contact form anymore, are you? Okay, let's put a pin in that. Number 3 is to use a keyword research tool. Head to your keyword research tool of choice and enter your brand name. In SEMrush's Keyword Magic tool, for example, you can filter by questions to pull a full list of the questions people are asking about your brand. Number 4 is to use Google Autocomplete. Another helpful tool for finding audience questions is good old Google Autocomplete. Now, Google Autocomplete does a great job of anticipating and suggesting search queries as you type, making predictions based on popular searches, your location, and your search history. So you should probably do this in incognito mode so the results aren't skewed. Enter your brand name into the search field and prefix it with question words like is, how, does, where, what, and when to see what people are searching for. You can get even more suggestions by adding each letter of the alphabet afterward too. To speed things up, I recommend taking screenshots of each autocomplete and uploading them to ChatGPT for extraction and grouping. Number 5, use ChatGPT autocomplete. Now, if you're lucky enough to be represented in ChatGPT autocomplete already, and at the time of this video, really only very large brands are, this is a great place to dig into. Apply the same principles as the previous step, but this time in your AI assistant. And number 6, my personal favorite, talk to your sales and support teams. Your sales and support teams are your representatives on the front line, speaking directly to customers day in and day out, hearing all of their questions, all of their objections, their pain points, their obstacles. Ben recommends running a Q&A session with both the sales team and the customer support teams. Here are some key questions from his client questionnaire. Number 1, what common questions about our product do you get from prospects on sales calls? Number 2, what do prospects misunderstand or get wrong before speaking to you? Number 3, what common objections about our brand do you get from prospects? And number 4, do prospects ever mention ChatGPT and what they found there? Now the final step, step 7, is to repeat. Now that you've gathered your questions, it's time to see how large language models answer them and fix up the answers. To do this, simply repeat steps 1 through 5 and revel in your ever-increasing organic visibility. To track the impact of this exercise, we recommend first monitoring your LLM output. Take your list of questions and compare the before and after. Monitor those regularly to confirm the continued accuracy of the answers. Second thing is to track conversion metrics. Compare key conversion rates like signups, demo requests, sales before and after your LLM content improvements. And also, I suggest you add a "Where did you hear about us" section to your sales booking forms to closely monitor leads that started in large language models. Right now, honestly, that's really the best attribution model we have. Next, make sure you have regular feedback with your sales team. See, the sales team, again, they're on the front lines, and they're the ones that are likely experiencing or hearing the most misinformation from prospects. So it's a good idea to stay in close contact with them and get a pulse check on the impact of your changes. Branded GEO is just a subset of a larger AI SEO strategy. And it may seem like a daunting task, but it's really just an extension of good brand management in the AI era. By systematically auditing how AI assistants describe your brand, fixing misinformation at its source, and creating content that answers your customers' most pressing questions, you can ensure that AI works for you rather than against you. The key is treating this as an ongoing process rather than a one-time fix, because your brand positioning and AI capabilities are constantly evolving. If you want to dive deeper into broader GEO strategies beyond just branded queries, be sure to check out our comprehensive video on ranking in AI search next. Thanks for watching, and happy ranking.